God's house this morning. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. One of the most important things we do is to build an atmosphere for God to work. We are the temple of the living God. Paul also wrote that we are the habitation of God through the Spirit. We create the atmosphere for God to work. He is everywhere, but He looks for an invitation. And when we worship and when we praise God, we offer that invitation. Amen. 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 God bless you this morning. You may be seated. Glad that you are here on this Thanksgiving weekend. Remind you to continue to pray for those that are out traveling this weekend, that they would have safe travels. Amen. We know a God that is absolutely awesome. Amen. Amen. Brother Joe, those of you that don't make it here on Wednesday nights, he's one of the crowd that can only make it here on Wednesday nights. So, but he was telling me just Friday, he had brought a prayer request to the church a couple weeks ago of his, I think it's his niece, Ella, who was in the hospital. Things were not looking good for her. She had some serious blood issue, heart issue. It wasn't leukemia, but it seemed to be related, I guess, in some ways. But things were not looking very good for this little 4-year-old girl. And she asked that the church would pray. So we prayed here on a Wednesday night. And he was reporting Friday that she is good. She is totally well. She is whole. The doctors did not do it, but Jesus did. Amen. The doctors couldn't. They did what they knew, but Jesus did, and He does what He knows. Amen. Amen. You're going to see more and more as the time goes on that churches without power are not going to thrive, because the world is looking for something that's more than a ritual. Not just a form of godliness, but the power of the Holy God, the power of godliness. Amen. Amen. Praise God. Well, God bless you this morning. I do want to just share a quick thought in finding your worth, because our world says a whole lot about self-esteem and self-worth, and then they go about to undermine our self-worth and our self-esteem. Everything that they learn that of what produces self-esteem and self-worth, they undermine in their media, in their music, in their movies, in their news nowadays. A lot of things that they promote undermine that. So I'm not going to get into all of this morning, but I just want to introduce an idea of how you find your soul's worth. How you gain that esteem. Because we all seek to feel worth. We all seek to have worth in various different ways. When we play a game, when we enter the contest, the goal is always to win. The goal is to win the game, to win the contest. And if we do, then, we have a measure of worth, a sense of worth, at least for a little while. Bragging rights, maybe. We won. Even if we're not playing, if we're rooting for the team and they won. Aha! We did it. We pulled it out. So this is, we have this desire, this pursuit of worth. And sometimes we're willing to fake it till we make it. In fact, a lot of times we encourage people to do just that, right? Fake it till you make it. Fake that worth. Fake it so that others will think that we have worth until we actually do. We put up a facade, we put up an image, we've got our avatar, whatever it is, it's our social media persona. It's that image of look at how worthy we are, look how much worth we have, but it's very rarely the real deal. And what we find is that however we paint up our image, the fake things that we put on it, the cosmetics, the filters, whatever, that's not the real deal. But that's fake worth. So in some cases, we'll work with physical cosmetics. And it may be something as simple as mascara or lipstick. Could be other things. But all intended to make you look more appealing than you actually are. Or at least that's the sales line. That's the thought, marketing gimmick that they're trying to get across to you. I don't know. I know all my life from all kinds of guys all over the country. Highs, lows, rich, poor, powerful, homeless, whatever. I've heard consistent statements about somebody maybe wearing too much makeup. I've yet to hear of somebody not wearing enough. But the physical cosmetics intended to make us feel valued, like we have something, but that's not the real us. And what we learn is that cosmetics is always a fake worth, a fake value. Sometimes there's other types of cosmetics, like financial cosmetics. So we finance a lifestyle that is luxurious, maybe opulent, whatever, but it's look at all what we've got, all what we can do, but it's financed by debt rather than wealth. Right? So financial cosmetics. And we advertise it. You can have it before you pay for it. You can have it now. You don't have the wealth yet, but borrow against whatever wealth you might earn in the future and use that to pay for this. But you can have it now. That's a financial cosmetic. We give sometimes to have our name put on a plaque or on a wall or on a building because we want people to see that we are valued. But cosmetics is a fake worth. It's a fake value. Sometimes we engage in social cosmetics. In high school, you want to date the cheerleader or the high school quarterback, the star QB. We want to be the one chosen for whatever the special privilege is. We want to be named as the lead actor. We want to get the applause of the crowd. We want to win the contest. Why? Because when you have those social constructs that where people are applauding you, there's a certain sense of value and worth that we have. It didn't really change our value, but if we think so, and sometimes other people think so too. So we engage in those social cosmetics so that the world can know we are valued. But cosmetics is a fake worth. It's a fake value. Sometimes people engage in power cosmetics where they strive and fight and stab and claw and do whatever so that they can climb the ladder and achieve some type of position to get the certain rank that they want. It's all in the pursuit of status. They want to be awarded with a favored parking spot, maybe with the corner office, with the special desk, whatever little perks that we find or name or recognize. Whoever gets that, they have a special inside track. They may not. But we want the trappings of success because it helps people to tell that we are the one that is valued. But cosmetics are a fake worth. It's a fake value. Sometimes people engage in intellectual cosmetics, right? So intellectual cosmetics, they use big words that people don't understand because they want to impress you with just how smart they are. And they'll use these 14-syllable words that could be just as easily translated by the word hi. I don't know. They will ask you about the ambience of your ocular, I don't know, whatever. And really, they're just talking about the color of your eyes. You know, they give me the hue. But it's finding words that are very unusual just to portray an aura, have this thing of, oh, he must be smart. Get a doctor put to their name. You can get them off the internet sometimes. And they're run-of-the-mill doctor certificates. And you go through some fake program. You don't do a whole lot of work. And after 3 months, oh, now you are Dr. So-and-so, right? Why? It's having that intellectual cosmetics. Man, if you could just put that after your name, PhD. Just don't tell anybody it's post-hole digger. Intellectual cosmetics. But sometimes it's not always about things that are so overt like that. Sometimes it's about philosophies that people adopt. Philosophies that we come up with that endorse a false narrative, that make us feel good about ourselves, make us feel good about our position, about our condition, about our habits, about our sin sometimes. It's an intellectual cosmetic. Sometimes we'll attain degrees and certifications, even if they are real and legit and accredited and all that good stuff. Why? Just so that people can think we're smart. Well, he must be smart. He's got a master's in this. He's got a doctorate in that. They're a professor at this university. They've got to be smart. Well, if you've seen some of the stuff some of those professors put out, you realize your 8th grader has achieved that level. Degrees and certifications don't always indicate intelligence and definitely do not indicate wisdom. It can, but not necessarily so. But we strive for some of these things so that people can think we are valued. But cosmetics is always a false worth. Cosmetics is a fake value. Sometimes people engage in religious cosmetics, right? So whether they're wearing a particular garb that they think is religious, that makes them holier than the rest, or perceived to be more spiritual, or they engage in certain traditions or certain rituals that all with the idea of creating the aura of spirituality. Maybe they'll adopt a symbol. Maybe they will take in a certain pendant. Maybe they will settle for a plastic Jesus in the nativity scene rather than the real Jesus that can give you of his Spirit. Religious cosmetics. It's not the real deal. Religious cosmetics is just as fake a value as any of the other cosmetics I've mentioned. Jesus talked about that with some people in his day. And he was quoting the prophet Isaiah when he said, these people, they've got a religious cosmetic about them. I'm paraphrasing here. They've got a religious cosmetic. They look good. In fact, at one point, Jesus rebuked some folks. He said, you're like beautiful whited sepulchers on the outside. You've got your beautifully painted coffins that it just looks so wonderful, but within your dead man's bones. There's no life there. There's no power. There's no intellect. There's no strength. There's no wisdom. There's no hope. You're just dead men's bones. And when he's quoting the prophet Isaiah at one point, he said that Isaiah prophesied of these people. He said, they draw near to me with their mouth, but their heart is far from me. So they go through the motions, they say the right things, but it's all empty. And if you're looking for real spiritual power, when it comes to the point where Ella needs somebody to pray a prayer to get her out of the hospital, they don't have it. When you're looking for somebody that can take authority of a demonic spirit that is tormenting somebody and they cannot sleep, but somebody who's got the authority to speak the name of Jesus, they don't have it. When you're looking for somebody to cast the devil out of somebody, Brother Dante, to speak that name of Jesus in authority, they don't have it. Because even if you have religious cosmetics, it doesn't mean you have real spiritual power with God. Cosmetics, it's always a fake worth, always a fake value. All of this is because we desire worth. Not necessarily a bad thing. But we desire worth, or to discover our worth, our value. It's part of our journey in life, particularly as we enter adolescence. What am I good at? What do people like me for? Why am I accepted in the group? What's my role in this group or in that company? What position do I hold? It's an effort to kind of find ourselves a little bit. Where is my value? And of course, wherever we find value, whatever system that is connected to, that determines the extent, the depth of, or the greatness of that value, as well as how long that value lasts. So if you are the world's greatest Monopoly player, awesome. When you play, you're going to win that game. But that value is very much limited to that board. And the money that you have is very much limited to purchasing the rights to a particular property that you got there on the board, or to building houses on that, as according to the Monopoly rules game, the Monopoly game rules. But you can't take those. You say, I'm going to sell a hotel here off, and I'm going to go down to the bank, and I'm going to get the money. I'm going to mortgage that to the real bank, and go try to buy a real piece of property. No, it doesn't work. Doesn't translate that. It's very limited, the value there. Even if you win first place and you bankrupt everybody else, you're the king for a moment, you feel good for a moment, and then you go and you have some apple pie or whatever else. But then you move on to other things. But the value is very limited in time and in space, and it doesn't last forever. You don't go bragging about, I remember 6 years ago, Joel, I was playing this Monopoly game. Oh, man, I won it all. It's not that valuable. It ain't all that, right? Follow me? So we search for value. Sometimes you search for value that are in bigger systems. And in bigger systems, the value lasts longer. The longer enduring they are, the greater they are. And ultimately, though, there's a goal to find what value does not fade away. Because Jesus said that heaven and earth would pass away. And there are people that there's always an end of the world scenario, and everybody's got their own little take on it. And end of the world. So then why build your value just based on a world that's going to pass away? C.S. Lewis was a writer, thinker, preacher back, 70, 80 years ago. He said, creatures are born with desires, but they're not born with desires unless satisfaction for those desires exist. He said, a baby feels hunger. Well, there is such a thing as food that can answer that desire. He said, a duckling wants to swim. Well, there is such a thing as water in which the duckling can swim. Adults, they have sexual desire, and there is an answer to that as well. And then he said, if I find in myself a desire which no experience in this world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that I was made for another world. I wasn't just made for this world. Ecclesiastes 3:11, Solomon said, he's made everything beautiful in his time. He has set the world in their hearts so that no man can find out the work that God makes from the beginning to the end. In a more modern translation, it says, he has placed eternity within the heart of every man. And if he's placed eternity within our heart, then only something from eternity can answer that desire. In reality, our ultimate worth comes from reality. We can build a fake system, and I can win in that system, but my value is limited to that system that I built that was fake. I can be the number one Mario player. I can be the number one Call of Duty player. I can be the number one Destiny player. It doesn't matter what it is. Minecraft, you name it. You can build any little system. I can be the number one NFL player. But it only works in that system. Our ultimate worth comes from reality, because fiction cannot give us worth. I can tell Brandon, you are absolutely the greatest swimmer that has ever lived. And I think he actually is a pretty decent swimmer. But you could leave Michael Phelps in the dust. That'd be saying something. I don't know how many medals Michael Phelps has won, but I think it's more fingers than I've got. But even if I said that, it doesn't give him real worth, because it's not based on truth. It's not based on reality. Our ultimate worth comes from what is real. That's why truth is so valuable, because truth helps us to recognize that we don't find our value in this context, what I'm talking about here. We don't find our value in things of this world. We've got to search beyond this world for that. Truth is valuable. There are things that don't change with the times. Those things are valuable. If it was just invented yesterday, its value is limited. If it was just thought up yesterday, if it's a new fad, if it's a new term, that value is very limited. It's a fake value, and you can skate on that for a little while, but before long, just because you use that term, people will look at you and think that's so yesterday. Right? You can wear the cutting edge, the latest brand of clothing or whatever, but after a while, the brands are not quite the same. 100 years ago, I think it was, Levi was just like, wow! And then now, who cares? They give them away at the garage sale, a thrift store. Sometimes we have to go through a journey to find out what our real value is. A Brazilian preacher told the story first. It's been shared many times since, and you may be familiar with it. But he talked about a mom and daughter that he knew that lived in a small house, simple house on the edge of a village there in Brazil. The house was just one large room. It was on a dusty street, no pavement. Red tiled roof was one of many in this poor neighborhood outside the village. It was as comfortable as poor people knew how to make it be. Maria and her daughter, Christina, did everything they could to add a little color to the gray walls and to add warmth to the hard dirt that was their floors. They had an old calendar in there, a faded photograph of a relative, and a wooden crucifix for decoration. The furnishings were very modest. They had a pallet on either side of the room where Maria and her mom called their bed. That's what they would sleep in. A wash basin that worked for their bathtub, and a wood-burning stove to provide heat and to help cook their meals. Some years beforehand, Maria's husband had died when Christina was still an infant. And so the mom got a job and set out to raise her young daughter. She had numerous opportunities to remarry, and for a variety of reasons, she never accepted any of them. She was determined, though, to raise her young daughter. 15 years later, the worst of that was done, because you know how it is when a child is very young, kind of like Linda's grandchild back there. They are totally helpless, and they can do nothing by themselves. And you've got to help them do everything from eating. You've got to change their clothes. You've got to change their diapers, even when it's 3 times in 20 minutes. And so they're totally dependent on you. But as they grow older, they get to doing certain things. You learn to potty train them. They can communicate with you. And in fact, they can't even communicate much outside of a scream, right, of a cry. You've got to guess, what kind of a cry is that? And eventually you begin to learn, that's this kind of cry, that's that kind of cry. And then sometimes they're just plain mad. Just colicky, whatever you want to call it, and it's like nothing you can do, and so you just got to walk with them, and you're thinking, this is the 3rd hour tonight I've been walking with this baby, but that is what it is. And as time goes on, though, they learn a few things, and then they get to walking, and, and then you're on a chase after them. But they're walking, and they go to school, and gradually they learn to do some chores and help pick up some toys, and sometimes they still don't pick up their clothes, but they do certain things. You heard it from the pulpit. You better do it now. So it had, once Christina got to her mid-teens, she's able to help out and do certain things, and she was at that age where she could get a job to help out. But Christina had some other ideas in her mind. And some said that she was a free spirit. Some called her independent. They said she got it from her mom. She definitely, at that age anyway, recoiled at the idea of marrying and raising a family. And not that she couldn't have, because she had her pick of husbands. A lot of guys looked her way and saw a girl that was very attractive. And so there were a lot of guys that were interested. Her olive skin and her brown eyes were very captivating. And she had an infectious way of throwing her head back and filling the room with laughter. Some said she had that rare magic that some women have that makes every man around them feel like a king just by being in their presence. And she had the spirited curiosity, though, that she wanted to do her own thing, and she kept her suitors at bay for a certain period of time because she wanted to go to the city, to the big city. She dreamed of trading in that dusty neighborhood for all the exciting avenues and all the things she's heard about the wonderful city life. And of course, the very thought of that horrified her mom, because her mom knew that she was not prepared for the big city, that she would not be able to work there, that the real world is very harsh. And living on the streets is not very kind to those. And she said, people don't know you there. And right now, at that point, the economy was very tough. So she told her jobs are scarce and life is cruel. And besides, if you went there, what would you do for a living? Well, Maria knew what she would do, didn't want to tell her, or she knew what she would be forced to do for a living. And that's why her heart broke when she awoke one morning and found her daughter's bed empty. She knew where her daughter had gone, and she knew immediately that she's got to do whatever she can to find her. So she quickly threw some clothes in a bag. She gathered up all the money that she had available at the time, and she ran out of the house to get down to the bus stop. On the way there, she stopped at a drugstore to get one last thing. They had one of these old-fashioned photo booths. You know, you pull the curtain, you put in the coins, and you smile, and it makes pictures of you or whoever's in there. And so she made as many black and white pictures as she could. All the money that she had outside of that bus fare, put it all into making pictures. She had her purse full of stuff, of these small black and white photos. And then she boarded the next bus to Rio de Janeiro. Maria knew that Christina had no way of earning money, that she was too stubborn to give up and come home, so that when pride would meet hunger, human beings have a way of doing things that before would be thought unthinkable. So Maria began her search in the big city, went to every bar she could find, every hotel, every nightclub, any place that had a reputation for streetwalkers, for prostitutes, any place for the ladies of the night. She went to all of them that she could find. At every one, she left her picture taped on a bathroom mirror, on a hotel bulletin board, on any community thing, on the corner phone booth, and just wherever she could find a place that she thought Christina might find. She put a photo of herself. And on the back of each photo, she wrote a note. Well, it wasn't too long before all the money that she had was spent, all the pictures ran out, and there was nothing left for Maria to do than just to go home. And so she boarded the bus for her return fare and made the long journey back to her small village, weeping. Months later, Christina descends down a hotel stairs where one night she had performed her service to some men. And her young face was tired. Her beautiful brown eyes no longer had life in them. They didn't dance with youth, but they spoke of pain and fear. Her laughter was broken. Her dream had become a nightmare. 1,000 times over, she had wished she could trade these countless beds for her pallet at home she had. But the little village that she grew up in was too far away. In too many ways, it was too far away. On this particular day, she reached the bottom of the stairs and her eyes took a quick glance over the bulletin board that the hotel had up for local announcements, and she noticed a familiar face. She looked again, and there on the lobby mirror by that bulletin board was a small picture of her mom. Her eyes burned, and her throat tightened. She thought about what to do, and finally she walked over to remove that small photo. And when she did, she noticed something on the back. Turned it over, and she read the words, "Whatever you have done, whatever you have become, it doesn't matter. Please come home." She made the long trek home. Christina did. But on that day, she began to find a value in herself that wasn't related to what she could do for 30 minutes. A value that was greater. Because our ultimate worth comes from reality. With Christina, she started to recognize that there are some values beyond the bright lights that endure time. And there she could find her value. If our ultimate worth is based on reality, then our ultimate worth comes from God, because reality is based on God. And the way to find our worth is to get into the presence of God. Not just having a little fun, not just hearing some applause, not just engaging in a religious ritual, but actually getting into the presence of God. Somebody long, long ago described how the earth existed for such a long time in sin and error, pining, misery, until He appeared and the soul felt its worth. Until He appeared, until it became God with us. And the light shined in the darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. God so loved you that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever believes on Him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Should not perish, yeah, because the world was already perishing in sin and error, pining. The world was already in a condition of death. He didn't come to condemn the world was already condemned. Sin does that. But that the world through Him might be saved. We learn to recognize our worth when we get into the presence of God. The whole purpose of our worship service, the whole purpose of singing songs is to somehow break us away from the things that trap us in life, from having stepped on that piece of gum and getting us away from that, away from the things that distract our attention, and getting us focused on something real, something beyond this world. If we can allow Him to appear in our lives. It's amazing how our lack of self-worth will cause us to make decisions that detract from our worth. That even when we try to apply cosmetics in one form or another to our lives so that we can feel better about ourselves, it doesn't really work. Because cosmetics is a fake worth. It's a false value. But when we get into the presence of God, the psalmist talked about this one time when he said that I looked at the prosperity of the wicked and everything was going good for everybody that was mean and that was violent and that was vicious and that was selfish and that was stubborn, and they were looking out for number one. They were doing all the things that were wrong. It looked like all of it was going for them. I want to go to the city. I want to go where the bright lights are. So I was going to give up on doing what was right until I entered into the tabernacle. And there I saw God. There I interacted with God. There I had His presence. No wonder David said, "One thing have I desired, and that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord, to inquire in His temple." But I want to get into His tabernacle. Because when you're in His presence, you can receive His love. His love. Are you worthy of His love? I heard people use that terminology. I'm not really sure that we're worthy of God's love. I think actually not, that we're not worthy of His love, because I think worthy points to something you did to receive that love, something you did to qualify, but nothing I did was good enough to merit God's love. So I think maybe what they're trying to say is that His love gives us worth. He makes us worthy. Not that I had worth in and of myself, but He gave me worth. He gave me value. And so when I get into the presence of God, I can receive His love. I can accept His mercy, and I can be changed by His grace. And I think that only when we come to know Him do we really discover what value we have, or do we gain the value that we have. We were intended for something more than this world alone. I'm not against a lot of the things I've mentioned here today, different types of things that we like or enjoy. In fact, this week, most of us have enjoyed quite a bit of that, some of that stuff. Most of us have eaten more than what we needed to survive. We've enjoyed various other luxuries. I don't know, most of us probably didn't have a dirt floor in our home. So it's all right having and enjoying some of these things, but our worth comes from being in God's presence. If you'll stand with me. Our value. Because the truth is, it's not a mental illness. It's a part of the human condition that we all feel very low about ourselves at times. I mean, we call it a mental illness, in a way to describe a condition when we are less than the condition we ought to be at normal. We should be in health, but when we're less than health, so we come up with ways. We talk about disorder because there is a certain order that God has put in place, but when something is out of order, we know there's disorder. And all the disorders are really just a collection of symptoms. And this is how we describe the collection of symptoms. But what we know, the problem is something is out of order. So if you can go to a counselor, or if you go to a prayer room, if you go to a friend, or somehow to get some things back in order so that the anxiety is no longer there, the depression, whatever. But in reality, we want to know our worth. I don't mean $500,000. I mean our real value. Because our net worth financially is again, it's a system in this world based on U.S. currency. Or for some of you, Bitcoin, or Dogecoin, or whatever other digital currencies there are. And that value only lasts within that system. And to a certain degree, when that system is able to interface with others, but it's always limited. But about the kingdom of God, it supersedes everything. And it is from everlasting to everlasting. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, is what Nebuchadnezzar wrote. In fact, he wasn't the only one, but he said it's an everlasting kingdom. His dominion is from generation to generation. His truth endures to all generations. His mercy is from everlasting to everlasting. The kingdom of God is beyond any man-made system. And when we can interact with it, we can pull its value down to our world. And whether it's we need a little value, a little worth from there to put in Ella's body to make her whole, or sometimes just for ourselves, because we all feel down about ourselves at times. There's times we all fight it. We all think we're alone. We all think we're rejected. We all think we don't belong. We all feel like we have no worth. Some people get to believing that message. And they take, unfortunately, steps to end their life. But what I want to say this morning is, if you can get into God's presence, if you can seek out God Himself, you'll find a worth and a value so deep, so precious, so rare, so rich. It's beyond this world. No wonder Paul said, "For me to live is Christ, but to die is gain. That I count all things but dung, that I might win Him." Could you pray with me? Just talk to God here for a moment. Jesus, I didn't come here just to engage in a religious routine. I came here because I want to interact with you. They tell me that you show up here often. So here I am, God. Here I am. As I block everything of this world out of my mind and my thoughts, I want to focus on you. Because you can hear the cry of somebody like me. You can hear my prayer. Though I have no value that I can come up with, your love gives me value that I had not dreamed of. Jesus, would you touch me this morning? I'm opening up to you. Here I am, God. If you'll just not worry about the religious cosmetics, just focus on talking from your heart to God. Through your mouth. You could say what I said. You could say something different, but it's got to come from your heart. It's got to come from your mouth, through your mouth. Jesus, here I am. Because you're all that I need. Everything I need is in you. Everything I want is in you. Everything I could hope for is in you. And what he's telling you with this invitation is, whatever you have done, whatever you have become, it doesn't matter. Please come home. Please come home.
Hearts are mended at